Taliban. These are the Taliban going into this, what used to be the U.S. airport there in Kabul with U.S. military equipment. But the Taliban, well armed, you can see this reporter there talking about that. These are well armed Taliban troops who now are in control. What goes through your mind as they see them begin to take charge of this U.S. military equipment left behind?
It's unfortunate, Will, certainly, because there are a lot of people who are suggesting we left this stuff behind for the Taliban, and in fact, this was foreign military sales to the Afghan army. And given the size and capacity of the Afghan army, I mean, they're going to have over 300,000 M4s or M16s. They're going to have machine guns, trucks. Not all of the things have been destroyed. And I saw a roll-up just the other day about the amount of things that we provided to the emerging Afghan army, and it certainly is significant. So in the last few days, I think the military that were on Kabul, on Hamid Karzai International Airport, attempted to destroy as much equipment as possible, but that doesn't account certainly for the amount of stuff across the country: weapons, trucks, Humvees, even helicopters that were given to the Afghan army. So those are going to be continuing reminders of how when you arm a foreign force, you have to ensure that the government of that foreign force, the Afghan government, stands up and uses that security for the betterment of the people, as opposed to letting that force dissolve, as unfortunately, after fighting so many years, the Afghan army did when their government ran away from them.
Clarissa, we did hear the commander, the U.S. military commander of the Central Command, General McKenzie, say earlier that they did certain things to the aircraft to make sure they will never fly again. But still, there's no doubt these Taliban troops did capture a lot of very important U.S. military equipment left behind.
No, absolutely, Wolf. And first of all, just take for a moment the symbolism of it, right? Walking in, as you saw LA Times reporter Nabih Bulos do, walking into that hangar, seeing those, I believe they're CH-46s, some of the helicopters that were ferrying back and forth State Department people and embassy employees as they were being evacuated. Whether they can fly those planes or not, it's a significant moment. And we saw on the ground, before the Taliban even took over the country, we visited 3 bases in Ghazni province, which had been under the control of the U.S. The Taliban was now completely in control. Obviously, they'd seized them from the Afghan army, but they had taken a huge amount: weaponry, ammunitions. We saw ambulances. We saw Rangers, those Ford Rangers pickup trucks that they have been using across the country, Humvees. So there is no question that they have acquired quite a large war chest as a result of this takeover, and there's not really getting around that. And even the stuff that doesn't work, as I just said before, they understand it's a photo opportunity. It's a powerful symbolic moment for everyone in the world to see.